Do you think it's splitsies, like right down, like hamburger or hot dog style?
Hamburger or hot dog style?
If you had to split one of these babies in two, if you were king. Don't think too much about it.
No, well, I feel like it would have to be hot dog style.
Oh, so you get one eyeball, one nostril.
In order for the threat to actually work, because in that case, like, you're killing the baby. If you cut it hamburger style, there's still a chance that just you've got a legless, alive baby.
Can you imagine King Solomon's like, hamburger or hot dog?
Dearly beloved, welcome to the Unblessed Podcast, where we inquire and exposit the mysteries of that ancient text, that good book itself, the Holy Bible. We are not theologians nor historians. We are but armchair philosophers who spent years in seminary or on a church staff and have since departed to make our own way. We invite you now to read, think, and laugh with us as we dive deep into the denominational doctrines of the divine in the Unblessed Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unblessed Podcast. My name is Evan.
And I'm Scott.
And we are two ex-Jesus Weenie Hut Juniors.
Jesus Weenie Hut Juniors. It's Halloween, Evan.
Whoa.
It's a special episode. Hello, it's me, Dracula.
Oh, no, never mind. It's not Scott. It's Count Jesus?
That's right. I'm Count Jesula. I've come from heaven to help you with your Jesus Ween.
Oh, thanks, Count Jesula. Count
Jesula.
Count Jesula? Okay,
Just say it. Try it a few times. Sorry, I tipped on my jacket in here. All right, I'm all settled now. Thank you.
So, Count Jesula, like every year for Halloween, what do you do?
Oh, I definitely don't dress up as anybody else. I just say dress up how I always do. I have a big black cape with a big neck piece that goes above my ears. And then a big long cape. And I fly around because I can also turn into one of God's most precious creatures.
What's that?
It's a bat.
Okay,
but I spread the good news.
Gotta say, Count Count Jesula. I'll get it right one of these days.
Jesula. Just say it for once. Try it. Don't be afraid. Jesula. Like old Jeeves.
Oh, Jesula.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I gotta say that sounds a lot like just being a vampire.
No, I don't do it. I don't suck any blood. You don't have any blood on you, do you?
Not currently.
Okay. Get me a little wound up if I see some.
You don't suck any blood, but
not anymore. I'm off that stuff now.
Oh,
I went to prison for a little bit and got right with the Lord. Now I host Jesus Weenies everywhere. What was that?
So I guess maybe I was.
No, I'm not from heaven. Before I was in prison, then I went to heaven, and now I'm back. It makes perfect sense, don't you see?
So I want to get your timeline straight. Were you just a normal guy who just drank blood and then you died and went to heaven and now every Halloween you come back?
No, kind of. That's exactly right, actually. There's no such thing as vampires. I just am unfortunate looking.
Just a normal guy who
I have a very acquired taste. I like big, tall jackets with big...
Vampire presenting, I think, is what it's called.
That's right. Thank you, man. Oh, here he comes. Here comes the pork police.
Oh, my God.
Thank goodness for throwing that one in there, Evan.
Oh man,
I love
Okay,
the
so-
podcast. Long time listener, first time caller though.
Oh, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. Wish Scott was here to get the
I'm here
things
in the
on it.
corner. I'm just hanging out.
Oh, hey.
I'll let him get the floor. He literally grabbed the mic from me.
It was violent.
I did not
didn't see
grab it. I let myself in though.
Yeah. So what do you typically do around this time of year, Count Jesula?
Well, we host Jesus Weens.
Oh, what's
We go
Jesus
to
mean?
local churches. That's where you find all the sinners these days, is church parking lots. And we host a variety of Christian-themed fun
Oh.
and snackies.
Oh, okay. That sounds like it could be a good, fun family time. Like what?
But they
what-
can't be too spooky. Just
Can't
kind
be
of
too
like
spooky.
more eerie at best.
Were you also just sorry to be come back to this? Were you also just a regular like Austrian guy who just drank blood and then died?
Well, all the blood intake kind of messed up my insides. So, yeah. Sure.
Well, I just realized in my brain you were just Dracula, and I know Dracula's from like Transylvania, but in my brain
I'm
he's
Count
also just
Jesula.
American. But-
Say my name again one more time. Give it a whirl.
Jesula.
That's right.
Nice. Okay, so you just go to churches now. All church, or is it like a Santa Claus deal where you try to get to every single church and every single like in one night?
That's incredible. How did you know? I fly around like a bat. I visit every Southern Baptist church in the continental U.S.
So
Not the one I
Alaska,
miss.
Not Hawaii.
Nope, not Hawaii, Alaska. A little too far for my little bat wings.
Or not the
That's right.
designated territories.
No,
Gotcha.
we do Jesus Weens, and I come and I, lead a couple songs on acoustic guitar for people. Really
all
set
in
this.
one night.
That's right. I do an hour and a half set at every church. But don't do the math. I see a calculator coming out. We don't need any of that. It's not magic. It's the Lord, because there's no magic on Jesus Ween. Anyway, go ahead and put that calculator
There
down.
are
Nope.
at least in 2020.
There's a
Southern
lot.
Baptist added 857 new congregations.
Yeah, it's
in
been a
2020 yeah.
The
for
Lord
you to do
provided.
an hour and a half set. Look, you must have some like.
It's a tight 90, though. It's a very tight
Yeah.
90.
Very tight 90. Okay. So you can get in and get out. That's good. So, talking about the different like types of fun activities you might have. So, nothing too spooky. So we're kind of anti-spook. I'm hearing.
No, we have to just warn people of their sins and remind them of the grace they have from the Lord. So
What happens if so?
spooky things like Moses dropping one of the tablets, ooh, or for example, Adam forgetting his jockstrap at home, ooh,
Oh God.
very spooky.
Yeah, especially considering it was the original penis.
Yeah, having the church staff check your hard drives in public, ooh.
Oh God. That
We
would,
saved that just for the pastors.
Jeez. I love it. Okay, so what if Okay, so it sounds like we're okay with spooky as long as it's scaring people
Spooky.
into something else.
That's right. I had to scare them into a biblical lesson.
What lesson would that be?
Don't eat too much candy.
Don't eat too much candy. So hey, remember, if you eat too much candy, a church staff member might look on your hard drive.
That's correct. That's half of my gig is I do some IT work on the side as well at each church in those 90 minutes.
Oh,
But
heaven doesn't pay that well.
It's not too much. We got to get by. Count Jesula, I'm working on a brand,
Oh,
Jesus
a
Ween.
brand, a whole brand. Like what would you attach to your brand?
Well, we're trying to get Jesus Ween going.
oh, that's you are the originator of Jesus.
I'm a sole marketing coordinator for them. Director of marketing
The sole coordinator
for the continental
director of
US.
marketing.
That's
Sole
right.
coordinating marketing director of marketing for Jesus Ween.
Boy, you got that better than my name. That's right.
It's true. So somehow it rolled off the tongue easier.
That's right.
That must be hell to put on a business card.
We don't like saying that word, H-E double hockey sticks.
Oh, that must be shit to put on a business card.
Okay, careful with the language.
Sorry, I
Please.
wanted to test boundaries. That must be heck to put on a business card.
Yes, thank you.
Well, while we're here, I do have some kind of like, I want to know.
Yeah, I
Can
need like
people-
3 more questions. I'm late for another Jesus
Okay.
Ween. It is Jesus Ween today. As long as this episode goes out on time.
Yeah, and as long as somebody's listening to it on Jesus Ween.
And that's
then
right.
it is, in
If it's
fact.
the day after, it won't be Jesus Ween anymore.
Yeah, they won't be able to hear you on the episode, actually.
Well, that's how time works.
I just have some, like, can people not dress up on Jesus Ween at all?
No.
Or is some dress up allowed? Like,
You're allowed to dress up, but not as a spooky character, only as
Okay.
biblical characters.
okay, I want to know, like, spooky. I want to ask you a few characters, spooky. Not
Okay,
spooky.
you could
what-
be like
what's
Lazarus coming out of the tomb with toilet paper wrapped around your ankles.
Okay, so what about, like, a mummy?
It can't be a mummy. No, it has to be Lazarus.
Has to be Lazarus.
It has
Could
to
you
be
dress up as a
Lazarus.
mummy? Could you dress up as a mummy and say that you were Lazarus?
We might allow it.
Okay. What about a ghost?
Only the Holy Ghost.
Okay, so you could put like a sheet over yourself and poke holes in the.
There's
and say-
creative liberties in the Bible.
Okay, okay, sure. What about Frankenstein?
Definitely not. Although he is not very scary. We like to base our Jesus Weens in reality. So only non-fiction characters.
Oh, only non-fiction characters.
That's
okay,
right.
so what about like? So Batman would be out of the picture. Superman
Absolutely
would be out of the
not.
picture.
Fuck Batman.
Language, Count Jesula.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so
I'm a
much
little
for
low
coming
on my
onto the
blood
podcast.
supply. Yeah, I need to go.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate it. This is a good way to get a hold of Jesus.
I'll be
Ween.
back.
Oh man, he just floated away, no bat form whatsoever. Just hovered.
Yeah, he just left. Yeah.
That was unexpected.
Wow. Who'd have thunk it? We get such a Halloween guest, huh?
I had
Count
no
Jesula?
clue.
I never got it.
Count Jesula, head coordinating.
He's talking to my wife downstairs.
Oh no, that's a steal your girlfriend kind of
He
guy.
is. He's got a lot of riz, as the kids say.
He I believe he was the coordinating marketing director of marketing.
Yeah, I caught some of that. Yeah.
So
Boy, what a character.
what a character. Scott, what are we talking about today?
Today, if it is still Halloween on your time zone, we're going to talk about a fairly spooky, scary story. It's not that scary. We're talking about Solomon and his
Dun dun dun.
big ass sword.
Dun dun dun. His cock.
Mark it down, everybody. One.
One.
We're going to be in 1 Kings 3, and we're going to talk
starting
about
in-
Solomon's wisdom.
Exactly. Now, 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of them said, "Pardon me, my lord. This woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there with me. The 3rd day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one in the house but the 2 of us. During the night, this woman's son died because she lay on him. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while I, your servant, was asleep. She put him by her breast and put her dead son by my breast. Jeez. The next morning." This story also started in a way that I forgot, where it's like, now 2 prostitutes.
Yeah, right away. I'm forgetting this.
Yeah. The next morning, I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son I had born. And the woman said, "No, the living one is my son, the dead one is yours." But the first one insisted, "No, the dead one is yours, the living one is mine." And so they argued before the king. This is the setup to a pretty familiar story. So much so that it's like, well, just cut it in half, you know. The king
Yeah.
said, This one says, my son is alive and your son is dead, while that one says, no, your son is mine and your son is dead and mine is alive. Then the king said, bring me a sword. So they brought a sword for the king. He then gave an order. Cut the living child in two and give half to one and half to
Jesus
the
Christ.
other. The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, please, my lord, give her the living baby. Don't kill him. The other said, neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in two. And then the king gave his ruling. Give the living baby to the first woman. Do not kill him. She is his mother. When all Israel heard the verdict the king had given, they held the king in awe because they saw that he had wisdom from God to administer justice.
Amazing. What wisdom.
What wisdom?
Just split it in half. No one would have thought of that.
And yeah, we just threatened to kill the baby.
Just threaten a mother.
Threatened to kill the baby, and then the mother who is actually the mother will be like, no, I want the baby to live. And the other mother will be like, no,
Can we talk about the second mom that was fine with like, yeah, go ahead, split it in half.
No,
I don't
want
care.
this baby cut in two.
I want half a baby, please. Do you think it's splitsies like right down like hamburger or hot dog style?
Hamburger hot dog style.
If you had to split one of these babies in two, if you were king. Don't think too much about it.
No, well, I feel like it would have to be hot dog style.
Oh, so you get one eyeball, one nostril.
In order for the threat to actually work, because in that case, like, you're killing the baby. If you cut it hamburger style, there's still a chance that just you've got a legless, alive baby.
Can you imagine King Solomon's like, hamburger or hot dog?
It's not King Solomon. Like, or yeah, I guess it is. To say you're like,
Isn't
bring me
it?
a sword.
I guess that's my first question. Is this King
'cause
Solomon or
he's
is
like,
it a parable, right?
No, this is King Solomon
Yeah.
for sure. But I was just wondering whether or not it was King Solomon who was doing the cutting.
Oh.
And I guess it is him because he's like, bring me my sword.
Yeah. He's going to do it. Hamburger, hot dog.
Yeah, he said, bring me a sword, and they brought him a sword. He then gave an order, cut the living child in two.
Maybe he just gave an order himself. Like he kind of just talks in third person. He's like, all right, Solomon, do it.
He said, bring me a sword. They gave him the sword, and he's like, this will do. Here, this is gross.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Actually, you do it.
Actually, you do it. So, like, do you think like he gives the order to the guard, and the guard goes, "Okay, King,
You got
hamburger
it,
or
boys.
hot dog style."
Yeah. Which way?
Which way?
Or cut diagonal like a sandwich.
Yeah, like your PB&Js. Do you want to cut that way?
You want peanut butter on the outside?
No.
You're a psychopath. You like the peanut butter on the outside, the jelly on the inside.
Well, do you like peanut butter? I know sometimes you like PB&J all on the outside with just bread in the middle. So it's just like
One time I made a mistake making a sandwich and you really liked it. And then I didn't have the nerve to change it.
to tell you it was a mistake.
You got peanut butter all over it. You should have seen yourself. You were such a mess. You're so cute when you're all messy like that, though.
Anyway, how would you like me to cut this baby?
Would you like me to kill this baby? These two grieving mothers.
Also, the plotting of the second woman
Yeah. Yeah, this is brutal. This is
to be like,
horrible.
my son died, so I snuck around and put my dead son in her arms and my living son, and this is my son now.
What a nightmare. This is a spooky story.
It's a Lifetime movie for sure.
Yeah. Whose dead baby is this? Should be the Lifetime movie.
It's killer instinct, killer motherly instinct. It's
a baby in King Solomon's court.
It's half a baby in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Oh my gosh, there it is. Did you think this was a real historical story?
I still do.
You do? Yeah, okay, me too. I just want to check.
Yeah. No, yeah, I thought it was a real historical thing that happened.
Wow.
And which when you think about the history that we know of in the world, it seems wild that it would be like, it's also important that we remember this one time when the king almost got a baby and threw.
That was our whole ethics department
Like,
for years.
Like we don't really know a whole lot about some of these like world leaders and stuff like that from ancient times.
That's
We
all
have,
court
like,
was back in the day. It was like, can we split it in half? That was the move for years. They were like, well, he mowed part of my grass and now he started a fence post on it, and they're like, whoa. Can we cut it in half? Can we cut the lawnmower in half?
Can we cut the lawnmower in half? King Solomon discovered fractions and was like,
Yes.
holy shit, guys,
like, if
I
I-
have a new trick.
If I divide it in half, that's
This
each has an equal part.
And there's one for me and one for you, and we can both have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
With peanut butter on the outside. Just
And
the way
jelly
you
on
like
the
it.
outside.
Just the way you like it. It's so stupid. I honestly grew up thinking this was just like a parable for some reason. And when I realized, as I was deep in study in my more adult years, I realized this story was from Solomon, and that seemed very odd to me, that this is what like biblical wisdom is. Like, this is when people talk about like, oh, you get wisdom from the Lord like none other. Like, when you believe in God, like, you get wisdom that no one could think of. And I'm like, this is what we're talking about? Like, splitting a baby in half? Like, why don't we just do like a DNA test? Or why don't we just like ask what the baby's name is and see who gets it right first? You know, like, I feel like there's other things.
Yeah, this is, well, I don't know if they would be able to do a DNA test. But I guess if it was like wisdom from God, then there should be some ability to be like, yes,
Yeah,
through
like-
discernment, I can determine. And maybe this is that discernment, in fairness, to be able to say, cut open the baby. I'm going to know who is the rightful mother by the one that wants the child
Yeah.
to live.
Yeah, it's like the foresight of him going, oh, well, like, I know deep down that the mother's going to be the one that wants the baby to live, and that's the wisdom I have.
Lucky him.
Yeah, good thing. Yeah, good thing
Good
that.
thing it wasn't my mother. Yeesh.
Yeesh.
I love you, Mom.
But yeah, I don't know.
This is the epitome of I don't care who started it. I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah,
That's what this was. Was this two women arguing over a baby, two mothers arguing over which baby was theirs, and King Solomon was like, "All right, well, let's we'll sell this right here, right now. Who doesn't want the baby to die? Who wants the baby to die less?"
which of you prostitutes?
And
Once.
lucked out more that the second woman was an idiot in this story. Like, in that, like, the first woman was like, no, God, no, I want the baby to be alive, but, like, if it has to be alive, give it to her. The second woman was like, no, cut it in half.
No, I
Like,
specifically want half a baby.
I want part baby.
Yeah, I want a fraction baby.
I want a half baby.
Come on,
Don't jolt me on the good
I'm
half.
just saving
I want
some
a
for
good
later.
half baby.
I'll take a box to go.
And even then, I think it's like, well, obviously, the woman who wants the baby to be alive is the mother. And even if that's not the case, the woman who is okay with the baby being sliced in half should not be given the child.
Problem is, what is the moral of the story? Is the mother the person that actually birthed the baby, or should be the person that just loves the baby? Because what if it was flipped? What if the mom was like, actually, I don't care, like, cut it in half. But then the second lady was like, oh, no, I want the baby. That's how bad I want it. What do you do? Do you give it back to the mom who doesn't want it? Or do you give it to
I think
the second prostitute, Evan?
I think I would give it to the second prostitute mom,
Wow.
the momstitute,
The
prostitute mom.
Momstitute.
Mom
The Mom Institute.
1,000 moms for 1,000 prostitute moms. No, I think in that's like, obviously, I think in that scenario, I would give it to the second mom because I would.
So
If the first mom is just like, yeah, cut my baby in half.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I think I want the baby to live. I think
Yeah.
we all, like 2 out of 3 of us want the baby to live.
I just think about the other scenarios and it's like, what if both moms wanted the baby equally? They were both like, no, we both want him to live.
Cut the baby in half. No. Well, shit, I didn't think this
Well,
far ahead.
now I don't know. What do we do now? Like, we're gonna play tic-tac-toe.
Because that was always the odd part to me. I was when I was remembering the story, I was just like, man, it is wild that it is really wild that the other woman was just like, yeah, cut the baby in half.
Absolute psychopath woman.
I think this is why this story doesn't exist, is because nobody would have that reaction. Because if you've ever been around kids fighting over a toy and you've been like, here, I'll cut it in half, they both will go no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This feels too fantastical to be like a real story. Maybe something like this happened. I just think it's fun that this type of story, it doesn't really matter if it's true or not. Like, this doesn't really push along much of a narrative in the Bible other than like, oh, Solomon had wisdom beyond.
And that baby grew up to be Jesus.
And you're probably wondering what happened to that almost half baby. Yep. That baby is Jesus now.
Is Jesus right now. That baby grew up to be Count Jesula.
Count Jesula. What a guy.
What a guy.
Love him.
Top 10 guys.
Yeah, real solid dude. Yeah, Solomon's wisdom. Another point on this, which we're not really getting into, but they always said that Solomon was the most wise person who's ever lived. At least that's how when I grew up through Sunday school and church, they'd say, who was like Bible trivia, who is the wisest person? And it was always King Solomon. And I just always thought, like, is that of all time? Like, are we dumber now? Like, did God put all the points, all the poker chips on King Solomon? He's like, I'm going to make this one so freaking wise. Like, he's going to know everything. And then everyone else just
he's going to have nothing. Like, he's going to know everything. And sure, he'll have 1,000 wives or whatever. But he'll be like, man, those Dodgers are not going to make the pennant. Yeah.
Don't put money on that.
And I am just so many millennia away from that.
So he just knows everything. Like, people come up to him and they're like, how much money should I put down on the game? And he's just like, in 2,400 years. In 2,400 years, the Cubs are going to win it.
Don't put it all on the Phillies. Don't do it.
You're going to be tempted. There's going to be a lot of rabble-rousing going around, but don't do it. In my infinite wisdom, keep your money.
So I was like, what's a Philly?
What's baseball?
What's baseball? What's a Brave?
What's
something that we aren't sure about nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good, because it always felt a little tongue in cheek of like, who's the wisest person of all time? And as a kid, I was like, Einstein.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, that's the smartest guy of all time. But Solomon was like the quote unquote answer.
Yeah,
he was also like the richest man of all time too.
Yeah,
that was the other one. Not Bill Gates. No,
Solomon and his pile of gold, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know. It's funny to think about. I mean, if he was the wisest, he also had how many concubines? Hundreds, thousands?
700.
700 concubines? So let me get this straight. The wisest person on earth has 700 sex partners at a time. And he's the wisest person to have ever lived, ever. So if you want to be wise, get concubines. That's a way to go. That's God's plan for wisdom.
Hey, you know what the punishment for polygamy is? Having more than one wife. Yuck.
Having another ball and chain, am I right?
Yeah, Jesus.
Sorry, we love our wives.
Solomon's concubine number.
Concubine number.
How many wives and concubines? Solomon had 1,000 wives and concubines.
Okay, 1,000.
So it really could have been one wife and 999 concubines.
And he was the wisest person on earth, though. So
Or
it makes sense.
999 wives and just one concubine.
Just one concubine.
Just one concubine.
Got a lot of wives, a lot of things to do, but one
Is
concubine.
that one concubine? Real special.
Yeah. This one's mine.
I want to get to your point about this. Like, what is your point about Solomon having that many wives and concubines and somehow still being the wisest person?
Well, I think it's interesting. Like, we've always been pushed that an anti-polygamy, like any church now that's not like the Duggards. They're not polygamous, but, churches like that, whatever. Sister wives, that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, my life growing up was like, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's those other religions that let you marry multiple wives, or like, Mormons, they believe in polygamy and that's just wrong and blah, blah, blah. So I was always taught that polygamy was a bad thing. But then you read the Bible and you're like, wait, everybody's doing polygamy in the Bible. Like, everybody. So
Polygamy. Everybody's doing it.
everybody's doing it now. Come on.
It's
Water's
a cool
fine.
new craze. Got a
So I
wife,
just-
she can be your property.
I never understood that if they were so wise, I guess the explanation was like, well, in that day and age, you had to have multiple wives because that was just the way it was. Like, you had to, make as many babies as you could and have a family farm and blah, blah, blah. And really the Bible never speaks against polygamy either. There's no verse that says specifically, like, do not have multiple wives. I was always taught to me as a
Except
kid,
in,
like,
when talking about like pastors and deacons and stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Somehow later.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, later it says, like, be the husband of one wife in the New Testament, but nowhere in the Old Testament is he, anti-polygamy. I was always taught, like, well, we can just see from biblical example that it was a bad idea. Like, David got into trouble when he was trying to chase after multiple women and blah, blah, blah. But
I think with David's scenario, it was more of, I'm going to steal this wife from another man.
yeah,
I'm not trying to defend polygamy. I'm just saying I think that's a little bit different than, I have a wife, would you like to be another one?
Yeah.
This was, let me attempt to murder the guy who is actively married to this woman that I saw bathing naked.
And, like, to be perfectly blunt, like, I don't even know where I stand on this whole issue. Like, honestly, if adults want to be in a polyamorous or polygamous relationship and everyone is bought into it, I guess more power to you. But
Yeah.
I feel like every example of polygamy is always like a guy and then like subservient wives that probably don't have much of a voice or an opinion about the matter. But I don't know. I haven't researched this stuff, but I wouldn't say it's an inherently moral thing. But what I find interesting is that, at least in my Southern Baptist upbringing, it was like a sinful thing. It's like to get divorced and to even consider, like, not that there's options for that. And where I grew up, but like the thought of like, oh, polygamists are like on the loose in Elkhart, Indiana. Like, they're going to steal your wives and your daughters, like polygamists.
A bunch of polygamists ride up on Harleys.
And it's like they're just Mennonites. Like,
Mennonites on Harleys.
so I don't know. I just always found it interesting. Like, we had
That's a
such a
good
stink
point.
about it, and yet the most wise examples in the Bible were, part of it. So
That's a very solid point about the morality of it all, and the wisdom therein. Because, like, Solomon being the most wise person of all time, how did he not have the wisdom to, if polygamy is sinful, if polygamy is wrong, if it's a bad, even if it's not sinful or wrong, or if it's just a bad decision to make,
right,
why did he make it?
over 1,000 times. Yeah, it's one thing if it was like, oh, he
at
had
least
like
999 times. Why
Yeah.
did he make it?
If he had like 2 or 3 wives, I could be like, okay, maybe in these times you have to have, I don't know, maybe historically this is just how it was, but 1,000, that doesn't seem like a loving relationship.
And the answer is it's a show of wealth.
Yes. And power.
So I guess which comes first, is wealth or is wisdom? Like which preceded which legend here?
That's a very good
If
point.
Solomon had that many wives, was it just assumed then that he had that much more wisdom?
That's actually a really good point, because it's probably like trying to, show or emote that like he had all these wives because he made all these essential deals with other nations or other like, tribes. Because that was, I know for some of the cultures, like you would acquire a wife if you were making a deal with like a neighboring nation or something, or you were trying to expand your kingdom. So
Take my wife, please.
please take my wife. Please.
And Soviet Russia, wife take you.
So maybe it is just showing like he's got a powerful empire and he's got 999 wives. I don't know, but it's all in all it's interesting that monogamous relationships became the norm and became like the moral choice eventually in Christianity. And there's not really good footing for why monogamy is the way it should be. And I think that's what, to dig even deeper, is that when people are saying like, well, I just, I follow the Bible for everything. Like it informs my every decision. But it's like, okay, so why are you in a monogamous relationship? Well, blah, blah, blah. Adam and Eve. Did they get married? Did Adam and Eve get married before they had sex?
Yeah.
Did they? They were the only people on earth. Did they have a ceremony? But there's not much evidence to say for monogamy. So it's just more of like.
A squirrel was the officiant.
Do you? Do you?
Do you? Here, you may take this nut as your unity.
Take this acorn. Now eat it.
Now we eat it. Oh, wait, that's what we're supposed to do. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I the Solomon's wisdom, I don't believe it. There, that's my final answer.
You don't believe Solomon was wise at all.
I think he was probably, pretty spry and he probably had some good ideas, but was he the wisest person to ever live? I don't know. Like you said, there's probably a lot. I think Mr. Rogers is really wise. He might be pretty wise. Tom Hanks.
Let's do a bit of a March Madness here.
Okay, all right, yeah, let's shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
So
That's not March Madness.
dun, 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 dun.
Dun.
Sunday night football.
Bum, 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 bum.
Okay, so Solomon versus Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers wins. He
Yeah, I think he's more wise.
crushes his skull
Absolutely.
immediately. Solomon or the person who invented the ketchup packets at Chick-fil-A, where it's
Ooh.
both a dip and a squirt.
That's a tough one. Still Mr. Rogers, but
I said Solomon. I think I said
Oh.
Mr. Rogers. I meant Solomon.
oh, sorry. I think the person who invented the ketchup dipping cup might be a little more wise than Solomon.
Okay.
I think it takes a lot of engineering and ingenuity to make something like that, and you have to be pretty wise with your choices to make something like that.
Solomon or the person who invented the athletic cup?
Again, this is someone that is making a very lucrative business choice and saving lives. So I would say you're going to scrape a little bit lower on the barrel for
Okay.
Solomon to win.
All right. Okay.
Think of like unhelpful people. Just think of like the most unhelpful person.
Yep. Solomon
Okay.
or the person who invented TSA security checks?
Oh boy, George Bush.
Solomon or George Bush, I guess.
I mean, TSA is a huge joke, so I'm gonna go with Solomon. I think Solomon would do a better job finding terrorism in packages over the TSA.
Cool. We won't dive into that further.
Are you pro TSA?
Absolutely. That's where I was going with it. No, yeah. Solomon or the person who invented tidy whities.
Oh man, tidy whities.
Because for a time they were necessary.
Sure. I don't know. I guess, Solomon maybe did some pretty cool things with the kingdom. Tidy whities. Keeping the bunch together, I guess. So I'm going to go Solomon, I guess.
Solomon, okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Give me one more.
Yeah.
Give me one more.
Solomon or the person who invented jellyfish?
Oh, God? Okay.
Yeah. Solomon or God? So we'll narrow it down. Solomon or God in that moment?
What was God doing?
Yeah.
I also
Had a
on the
lazy
whole
day.
side note, do you believe that God created every animal individually, or just started with a few and they just kind of randomly
Started
evolved?
with a prototype, and then
Yeah.
they just kind of went from there. Just
What'd you
chaos and
think as
sin
a
entered,
kid?
and then everything got created.
It was one ultimate animal that just slowly divulged into the rest of the animals.
Well, I mean, it was dogs originally. We all know
One
this.
giant dog.
One Clifford, and then all
gosh.
animals spawned from Clifford, not in a birthing way, but in a mitosis type way. Where,
Yeah. A really
off of-
scary.
Yeah, just flesh and fur dropped from his skin, and then created a giraffe.
Yeah, it sounds kind of spooky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did somebody say spooky?
So I say, don't tell Count Jesula.
I'll be back.
Oh God, he's gone again. He came and he's gone.
He came through the window. I had it open.
Yep. I think to answer your question, at first I believed God created every animal. Then I learned about dinosaurs, and then I was like, okay, maybe he just created the first ones, and then he guided the evolutionary process, or at least let it take its toll,
Yeah.
or let it go its path. And now I don't.
Now you went back to the first
Now
hypothesis.
we're back to the first one. I'm like, God created. He created.
I think he
Bot's
just had
jellyfish.
he had a
He
shelf.
created this jellyfish. He created that jellyfish.
Every single one individually. This fly, this fly,
That's right.
this
That's
fly.
That's why he never answers prayers. He's too busy creating stuff.
Well, he's got all the time in the world, though, so he could take forever to do it. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, he is both inside and outside of time.
That's correct. Somehow he has all the time in the world, yet none of it. He's always in a
Yeah,
rush.
none of it. He is-
I gotta go. I'm God. I'm in a rush.
Yes, all the time in the world, yet is in a rush.
Sorry, gotta go. Gotta take it off. What are your final thoughts on Solomon's wisdom?
I mean, I think the way you kind of put it was pretty good. I think Solomon was probably one of the better leaders, if not the best leader of Israel, documented, at least in their stories. And so with the wealth that he accumulated, with the peace that was in the region for Solomon, because Israel was just constantly trying to kill itself. You had one son of David fighting another son of David constantly. And if that wasn't going to kill anybody, then the Philistines or the Assyrians or somebody was trying to attack them. And so the fact that there was peace under the reign of King Solomon for an extended period of time, probably
That's a good
it's
point.
not that far off to be like, hey, this guy's got it together.
Yeah.
Look at him. The walls aren't burning. Also, he's got a 1,000 lady friends.
He's got a
up
couple
there.
of ladies over there.
Yeah, a couple of ladies. So I think kind of
Yeah.
all that tied together into Solomon being this larger than life figure of wealth and wisdom.
Yeah, I would agree for the most part. I think for the time he probably did a lot for the kingdom. I almost refuse at this point to believe that he's the most wise person who's ever lived. To me, it's a
Solomon or Pete Davidson?
jeez. Well, Solomon slept with more people according to the Bible, probably.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I think the whole point of like wisdom is what's interesting to me. That like the Bible kind of will paint wisdom as like this gift that God gives people. Like
It's almost like magic.
yeah, it's like this.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Like not like having a premonition, but it's like they'll have like almost a superpower of like knowing what to do and having like a clarity, you know, and like being able to
Clairvoyance. Almost.
yeah, clairvoyance, like just something where they're like able to fully understand a situation and make the best route possible, blah, 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 blah. But I don't see it as a magic power. And I look at this and I think it's silly to think that people just get granted wisdom for being faithful. And to me, wisdom is much more about being open-minded and learning from your experiences. Because frankly, as I'm getting to my old age, the ripe age of 32, I learn more and more that like I was so confident as like a kid, as a teenager, thinking like I figured shit out. And then I'm like, I look back at the last like 15 years of my life and I'm like, I knew nothing. Like when I was going into college thinking, oh, I was like all set, you know, I'm 18, 19, like, yeah, I'm going to tell people what to do. It's like, I had no freaking idea how the world worked. So like, I wouldn't say like my 18-year-old or 19-year-old self was wise. Like I had some smarts and I was, you know, a good kid and I followed rules, but like, was I wise? Like, I don't know. I think that's just something you have to gain over experience. So these types of stories, like they're great little blurbs about fairness and I guess trying to get to the bottom of an argument. But yeah, just the whole idea of like God granting to you seems so backwards to me. And yeah, I'm an anti-Solomon wisdom guy. There, I said it. So take that, Bible trivia cards.
Take that.
Yeah.
Well, special thanks to Count Jesula for joining us on the podcast today.
Yes.
We really appreciate it.
And also a big shout out to Josh, who gave us this topic today. Thanks for emailing us. We appreciate your email. Meant a lot to us. So thank you, Josh, for sending it to unblessedpodcast@gmail.com.
That's unblessedpodcast@gmail.com. UNBLESSED
At
PODCAST at
GMAIL.com. This is great podcast content.
It's only great if you mess up.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, Josh. Really appreciate it. And you can also email us at the Unblessed Podcast and give us your ideas and tell us what you think of the show. Tell us if you like it. Tell us if you hate it. Don't tell us if you hate it. That'll hurt our
Tell us if you
feelings.
hate it.
Tell
Go
us
ahead.
if you like it. No, I'm much more fragile. But thank you again so much for listening. And once again, my name is Evan.
And I'm Scott.
And don't forget to cut babies in half.
Whoa.